man! Gabe Vincent says Herro who? Monty Williams secures a bag in Detroit. And Kyrie Irving must be burning so much sage right now. I'm Rosa Panda. This is a Clinic All NBA podcast. I have the two hooligans with me. JJ, how you living, my friend?
Feeling good, feeling great. How about you?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. Sammy, how you living, my friend?
Doing good, man. Always good to be here.
Yeah, boys, we have to talk about this game 2 of the NBA Finals where the Heat took down the Denver Nuggets 111 to 108. And for a majority of this game, it really felt like the Denver Nuggets had things under control, controlling the pace. Jokic was able to do some things, but then all of a sudden during halftime, it seems like the Miami Heat started to figure some things out. And I wanted to ask you guys, what were some of the game 2 adjustments, or at least notable game 2 adjustments that you guys feel like kind of swung this game the other way?
Well, so to start, let's look at when Denver was on offense, and I want to fully credit our third hooligan for noticing this as much as anyone, John, who's not on the pod tonight.
Yeah, man, shout out.
It seems like if there's a best way to defend Denver, it's making Jokic more of a scorer than a facilitator. And he went nuts in this game scoring-wise. He had 41 points, only had 4 assists. And I think part of that is the way that Miami adjusted defensively. Part of it also is just there were some bad shooting nights. Michael Porter was horrendous in this game.
Awful.
Jamal Murray just didn't shoot it that well until about, I want to say, the third quarter. I believe Bruce Brown didn't shoot that great either. So I think it was a combination of both, but they definitely seem to want to make him more of a score-first player in this game. I think Denver will adjust to that. Offensively, honestly, I saw a lot of regression shooting-wise going the other way for Miami. I mean, Strus was 0 for 10 in game 1. He, I think, started this game 4 of 7. Gabe Vincent was nuts in this game. I almost think the regression went too far the other way, and what I mean by that is I don't know if it's fully sustainable. I noticed that Miami had a 189.5 offensive rating in the fourth quarter, which would be the best in the league in the fourth quarter of any game this year. They only managed 86 possessions between the two teams, I think, throughout the game, which is an extremely low number. They were just insanely efficient. So I think there's going to be some regression going the other way, but those are the main two things that I noticed was just Miami shooting regressing and Jokic being more of a scorer.
So JJ, Erik Spoelstra was asked about, turning Jokic into more of a scorer than someone who distributes the ball and etc. And Erik Spoelstra said this. He said, "Yeah, that is ridiculous. That's the untrained eye that says something like that. This guy's an incredible player, etc., etc." Is Erik Spoelstra just kind of hiding what he's really doing here? Is this gamesmanship? Or do you think Erik Spoelstra is actually speaking truth here? Like that wasn't what they were planning on doing, it just ended up happening that way?
I think it's a little bit of both, man. You want to play gamesmanship. He learned from the best, Pat Riley. Remember, Pat Riley did the exact same thing with the Lakers and the Knicks. But to a point, I'm going to make an analogy with you two. Okay, you guys are, I feel like my friends, my family, you guys are really intelligent people. And pretend that you guys study all night for a test. And you get 100%. And then John comes along and says, "Oh, I guess that test was pretty easy, huh? You just had to do this." So in some ways, I feel like Spoelstra wanted to have that response because his team prepped, he prepped, and it showed on the court. So some strategies that we saw on the court from the Heat, they went into zone, but with their zone, it was kind of weird because it was a 3-2, but they kept denying Jokic on the inwards pass off the top, which really made it hard for Jokic to be the heliocentric hub, because we all know that Jokic is the hub of the offense, right? So if you let just Jokic catch it down low, not really pass it to anyone else, no one could get hot. And there's a quote that you always said, Jun, like when you keep passing the ball what does that have?
Energy.
It's energy. Everyone feels good even if you touch it for a second. And I think we could all relate. Like Sammy, I think you could relate when you play a pickup ball. Even like you don't need even to touch it for like you don't need to James Harden it. You could just touch it for a quick 2 seconds and you're like, oh, I feel part of the team. And when you do that, your players feel like they're part of the whole squad. Last night, when you had, for example, MPJ and Gordon and KCP not touching the ball, not getting good looks, it showed. So that's what I saw. And the last thing that I really loved was that they didn't double Jokic.
Right.
And we said this in the pod before the series even began, which is let Jokic get his, which is what Draymond did last year when they beat the Nuggets. And in fact, not to pat ourselves on the back, this morning, Draymond said, hey, Spoelstra, listen to what we were saying, let Jokic get his. And even Mike Brown had a tweet today from Tim McMahon saying that we didn't let Jokic double. Let him get his 50-50. He's most effective getting everyone else involved, therefore limiting that energy.
Yeah, and they ended up playing a ton of zone this game. And that's sort of like the secret sauce of the zone that like JJ was talking about, where, you know, you only really have one person committed to Jokic, and then you're trying to shut down everyone else around him and cause, you know, outside jumpers. But you have a ton of these players on the Heat team who did a really good job at closing out on the perimeter to cause tough shots, even though Michael Porter is like 6'9" or however tall he is. But it seemed to still kind of bother their shot. And there's proof in the pudding in the stats here where they did not shoot very well. Let's see, Michael Porter Jr., he was 1 for 6. Not a good game from him. Are we worried about Michael Porter Jr. at all this series?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I only
Okay.
say that.
I'm starting to worry a little bit.
Here's the reason I
Because
say
I know
that.
his like finicky, you know, in these tough moments. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do think, though, it's very clear that he's a kid who still hears the media, he's online, and he's going to get ripped. And I think that's actually going to cause him to come out in game 3 with a much better game. I mean, it was weird because he came out in this game, I believe he had 4 rebounds in the first 8 minutes of the game, for example, which he should because Miami is far smaller than them. In the rest of the game, he had 2 rebounds. And the other thing with him is normally, even if he's not shooting it well, he'll still shoot a lot, which I don't mind that. I think you should if you've got the looks. He took, I want to say, 15 shots in game 1. He only took 8 shots in this game, only ended up playing 26 minutes. And it almost just felt like he wasn't in the flow of the game from the beginning. It was very weird. I think he'll come out with a much better performance overall in game 3 if we come back here and 5 points is 7 points and 5 rebounds instead of 5 points and 6 rebounds. I'll eat my words on that.
Yeah.
So I'm slightly concerned, but I don't think we have to sound an alarm just yet, personally.
JJ, so Gabe Vincent had an incredible game. A good game, let's say. You know, he scored 23 points. He was shooting 66.7% from the arc. Do you think this is going to be sustainable from Gabe Vincent, or do you think we're going to see a drop off from the next game?
What I'll say is that we all know that on road games, role players do not perform well. What Gabe Vincent has going is they're going home to Miami where the crowd will be nuts.
Right.
We're gonna, and if he doesn't do well, Jun, Max Strus, Duncan Robinson, Sammy said in the last pod, the return of his favorite player. And who would that be?
Return of my favorite player, Cody Zeller.
Is it Cody? Is it the masked
Not
Cody?
Cody. He was in White Man Can't Jump.
Billy Hoyle, gotcha. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on this a little. Who you're talking about?
Who's supposed to return for Game 3, guys?
Oh, Tyler Herro.
Tyler Herro. I'm
Tyler
sorry.
Herro. So I guess which I'm trying to bring up our next discussion topic, which is this a perfect game for Tyler Herro to come back to at home?
know.
And the series is 1-1.
My initial thought is not after a win. But what do you think, Sammy?
I'm kind of with you on that. It almost feels like they have this just perfect flow, and obviously we only say that because, like you said, they won the game, and they basically won the fourth quarter to win this game. They were down and going into the fourth by 8, I think. We're forgetting that. I think everyone's forgetting that. But it just, if I bring him back for this game, I wonder if this is so hard. You're in the middle of the NBA Finals, but do you play him like 15 minutes just to see, like, and if he gets going, you keep him in, and if he just doesn't look like he's in the flow of the offense, do you pull him? So honestly, I think I'd lean no, but that's a tough call. It's a lean no, but without a ton of confidence.
For me, like, even 15 minutes can ruin the flow of your offense or the flow of your team completely, you know, because you have to get these minutes from somewhere. And that means these rotations are going to be kind of messed up a little bit. And the only thing, JJ, I want you to comment on this, but apparently Tyler Herro, this is from ESPN's Rose Gold Onwood, he said Tyler Herro doesn't want to come back and mess up the rhythm of the Miami Heat. What do you think about Tyler Herro sort of thinking that, possibly saying that?
Good mentality as a teammate, wrong time to say it. I want super confident. No, scratch that. Not even confident. I want cocky coming out the gate 2020 Tyler Herro, thinking I'm the ish and I'm about to wreck shop, and we're not just gonna beat Denver. We're just gonna go up 3-1 now. That's the confidence that I want. I love that mentality though, but you gotta flip it now, man. It's not regular season. It's not the Eastern Conference Finals. It's the finals.
I agree with you, JJ. Like Tyler Herro, like, homie, like, you could say this in private, okay? You could say this to your team in private. Like, hey guys, I'm worried about messing up the chemistry. But in public, what I want to hear, I want to hear you say, just wait till I get back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just wait till I get back and watch me smack on these guys. This is a little soft for me, and it's really worried. It's worrying me because, like, if Tyler Herro gets out there and all he's thinking about is messing up the rhythm, he's not gonna play well. So you know what? If I'm Spoelstra and I hear this report and he says the same thing back to me, I'm not gonna play him. I think I don't know. That's just how I feel. Sammy, do you feel sort of the same way or not really?
I think so. I mean, it's like you guys are saying, this is the part you don't say out loud. Like you figure this out with your coach, with Coach Spo. He's gonna have a better read on this than you are as a player. Your job as a player, I think, is just get ready to play and have that mentality. Just be ready to go. And if Spo feels like you're gonna help the team, he'll put you in. He knows well enough. He's been there forever. If he doesn't feel like the timing's right, he's gonna tell you that outright. He's not gonna play a game about it. So just get yourself ready and go from there. But like you're saying, I appreciate the fact that he doesn't seem to have the mentality of having to get his no matter what. But yeah, I just think putting that out there, even if the players won't say it, does it get into their heads a little bit too of, are we disrupting the flow at this point? So I'm with you.
You don't want any sort of negativity in that locker room. We're going to switch over to the Denver Nuggets here. I want to play the blame game. I know we're all not blaming Jokic here, but do we place any blame on the loss on, like, Michael Malone? Do you feel like he should have been doing something a little different to get Jokic more of in that facilitator role? Or do you think that the supporting cast should have just been hitting their shots? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I know I'm gonna come off as a hater, but I don't mind. I think some of the decision making within the fourth quarter from the Nuggets were mind-boggling. KCP, I think he had multiple fouls when he hit a player going for a 3, which totally shifted the momentum of the game. You had Duncan Robinson get hot. who hasn't even played. He didn't even play for the first 3 quarters, guys. He comes in and then you're gonna allow him to get hot while Jimmy's on the bench. Okay, and then I'm hitting the hammer on the head once again, and I know Sammy, you just said it, and I'm really agreeing with you, but my goodness, Michael Porter Jr. It's not just like the misses; it's the shot selection. We always say on the clinic, when you take the shots, is it timely? And there's like this famous graphic that you sent our group chat, Sammy, where you had 3 open Nugget players, which included Murray and Jokic, wide open down low. And guess who's taking a contested mid-range shot?
Michael.
Not this Michael. Not Jordan. Porter Jr.
Oh man, Savvy, who you blaming? I'm with you though, Jay. I'm with you there.
I don't blame Jokic at all. I do think that a bunch of players just missed shots they normally would make. So just going down the line here, Murray only finished with 18, which he had 18, he had 10 assists. I give him that. Like, by regular season, most players, that's still a fine game. That's not what we've expected from him in the playoffs at this point. He's been amazing. So he was missing a lot early. I think he didn't really get going until probably about the 3rd. Porter, as we've talked about, was terrible. KCP literally only took 4 shots in this game. So you wonder, Bruce Brown played all right, but if you look around at the rest of the team, outside of Aaron Gordon, who had a solid game, even if Jokic isn't getting doubled, these guys still have to find ways to get open. So part of that might be scheme a little bit, like maybe Mike Malone didn't adjust enough, but like we were talking about, they went into the 4th up 8, and it was literally gone in 90 seconds and one mean mugging Duncan Robinson run out of nowhere, which flipped the whole game. Because Jimmy didn't even play well. So I look at it.
Yeah.
I would expect in game 3, and I know I was on the last few pods a big proponent of, I personally think Mike Malone's done a great job in these playoffs. I would be shocked if they don't make an adjustment where if Miami is saying we are not going to double Jokic, if they run a lot of off-ball screen or something different to get Jokic matched up against a smaller player to force Miami to make a decision. Either come double him, or he's going to end up with a smaller guy than Bam on him.
Yeah.
And we'll see if they make... That's the adjustment I anticipate. But I'm looking at blame. It's funny that some people will blame Jokic. I'm not saying anyone on here will. When he had 41 and 11. Because of the level of insane play we've seen from him. So I think it's more of a supporting cast thing. And I will also say that I think Murray comes out and absolutely goes nuts next game. I think at minimum he has 30 points, personally. So I expect to bounce back.
I'm also going to blame Mike Malone. First of all, you know that the Heat's going to come with a zone. They've been doing this, right? You also had a week and a half off to prepare for the Miami Heat and their zone. And it doesn't seem like you have any good answers for it. You're just like, oh yeah, Jokic will just like figure this out. But we need something more than that, Mike Malone, especially since you've had so much time to just figure that out. It's beyond me. And did you guys see that little slow-mo replay of Gabe Vincent where he hits the 3 where God, what's his name? Christian Braun is like sagging way too far off of him. And he gives that kind of like nasty look at like Christian Braun, like, you just left me that wide open. Why is Christian Braun playing crunch time minutes in a game in the NBA Finals? That is beyond me. They're trying to catch up at this point. Why is Christian Braun in there? I don't understand that. So Mike Malone, I'm blaming you. Sounds like the most of us are. I want to ask you guys now. Do you guys still have confidence in your Nuggets gentleman sweep take that you guys had before this series started? Because you both said Nuggets in 5.
So funny enough, I wanted to actually comment on that too. I still think the Suns in 5, and I will eat my words if I'm wrong in game 3. Maybe I'm overblowing my confidence on that side, that it was just one bad game, but I think Malone has some kind of adjustment. I think Murray and Porter both regress back to their more standard level of play. And I also think, I get that Miami has had these hot shooting games here and there in the playoffs, but they literally shot 50% from deep in this game. I just don't think it's sustainable on that side. And I'm not saying Miami's a fluke. They're not. They've been an amazing squad, but this playoff run. But I just think Denver has been far better than everybody else. And I'm not going to have one game where Murray was off and they didn't quite adjust in time in the fourth quarter. Tell me to shake the entire tree and change up what I was thinking the whole time. So I still like Denver in 5. I will stand by it. If there are Heat fans listening, feel free to come at me and rip me apart if I'm wrong. But that's what I'm going with for now.
Just as a quick little stat here, the Miami Heat for these playoffs, collectively, they are shooting 40% from 3.
So that's very impressive.
Really dang good.
So, but can I counter that then? If they shot 40% from 3 in this game, they would have lost the game. That's how much it would.
That's true.
Regress. Like even if they regress to an incredible percentage of 40%, that would be what, 2 less threes or 3 less threes in this game? They would have lost. So that's why I'm just saying I think they'll regress back to even 40%. But I don't think Miami shooting 40% is good enough to beat this Denver team consistently by any means.
JJ, are you taking it back? Are you taking it back?
My heart really wants the Heat to win, and there was a stat that I read that the Heat have been underdogs 20 out of the 22 games that they were in for the playoffs.
Wow.
And I hate to bet against them, but I'm not going to go with the gentleman's sweep. I'm going to go Game 6 Nuggets. But I'm cheering for the Heat. So Heat fans, somewhat kill me.
Dang, were the 2 games when they were up 3-0? It must have been those 2 games,
Probably,
right?
yeah, man.
That's crazy.
That's
insane that they were underdogs all the way through, pretty much.
Against Boston, they were underdogs in, I think, in every game.
Game 4 and 5? Oh, no, in every game still?
You said they weren't underdogs in 2 games?
For 2
games in the playoffs.
I think, no, they were favored in game 4 by 1.5. And then game 5, they were dogs again because that game was back in Boston.
Oh, okay.
So most likely they were favored in 4 and maybe in 6 because they weren't favored against Milwaukee at all. But then they might have been favored against New York. It's hard to gauge at this point. I can't recall for sure.
Totally.
But at best, they were favorites in 1 game against Boston, 2 at best, but I think it was 1.
Crazy.
I'm still going Heat and 6. I feel like it's gonna happen. Spo, man. Spo needs to get paid. We'll talk about that later. I'm gonna talk about our next topic here. So, Shams, our friend Shams, he tweeted, Kyrie Irving has reached out to Lakers star LeBron James in attempts to see if James would come to Dallas. Irving is a free agent this offseason. Do you guys think there's any traction to this? Any traction to 1, that Kyrie Irving actually did do this? And then 2, that LeBron James is even considering going to Dallas? What do you guys think?
Oh man.
Where's John? Where's John when you need him?
I'll ask. let me ask you guys a question, which is, does LeBron need to accomplish anything left in LA?
He won a chip. He's got 1. So
does he need to maybe establish himself in Texas? He's done Miami, which is the East Coast. He's done the West Coast.
You're saying big market tour?
Yes. Ohio, Midwest, maybe the last state, which is Dallas.
I see where you're coming from. I wonder if I think he's just going to settle in LA though, because now
I mean,
all 3 kids are in school there. The oldest just committed to USC. I just think for off-court reasons he doesn't want. If he was on court and this was 10 years ago, I would agree with you, but I just think at this stage in his life, he's more inclined not to. But I can see where you're coming from with it.
If since Bill Simmons had that his predictions that Draymond would join Dallas, and they have Draymond, Kyrie, and Luka, you think maybe there's a cap influx, right, with the new TV deal? Would you guys think there's let's just say, does Dallas have a legit chance of winning a chip with those four?
If they had those four, sure. I mean, that's so much talent. Like, you just have to figure out who's handling the ball and how fast you can flip Kyrie after you realize he's not going to work with them for the first 25 games.
I also need a report from the LeBron James of feet. like how are his feet doing?
Yeah. Let's check in with.
It did not look good this playoffs. Go ahead, Sam. What were you saying?
So, I mean, that's just so much talent that you would assume so. But the other side of this, like Kyrie trying to bring him in, is he's not a free agent. This would have to be a trade. And as much as any team would be enticed by the Davis Bertans, Maxi Kleber, Reggie Bullock trade package, I just don't think they have the assets to get him. No hatred on those three dudes.
And the number 10 pick, okay. The number 10 pick is also in there.
You know, throw in every rookie they have on the roster, but man, Dallas has been mismanaged the past decade. Like, Shark Tank is getting more love than the Mavericks are right now. I'm just gonna be real with you. Just based on the assets on the team, they've got nothing to trade outside of the 10 pick and Josh Green.
Yeah.
So,
and the way that like the new rules of the CBA kind of limit like how many people you could sign or how much money teams could spend, that roster would look so expensive. Especially if you consider like Draymond joining that team as well or something like that.
Yeah, it's
like, I don't know how they would even make that work.
They can't. I just think this is this a little reverse psychology with Kyrie trying to get to LA somehow? That's the other thing I've seen proposed. What do you guys think of that rumor?
You think it was like one of those things where like Kyrie reached out, but he was really hoping for like the LeBron James response, like, you should come to LA.
Yeah.
But like LeBron James just like leaves him on red, or it's like, I'll think about it.
I'm good.
Your response with, so how are the kids?
Or he gives him the K. Just K.
So honestly, there's been rumors that the Lakers want to use D'Lo in a sign and trade. So I would wonder if there's dual sign and trade possibilities here, and that's what Kyrie's actually thinking. If he's thinking that far ahead.
Yeah.
But
interesting.
Yeah.
JJ, do you think a Irving, LBJ, Draymond, Luka team wins a chip?
I don't know, man. I think that combination of superstars and being top heavy, it's hard to bet these days in the NBA. Because we've seen how many teams fall because of that. The Nets, the Suns. Sorry, I'm like kind of bashing all of KD's teams, but I guess that epitomizes what happens when you trade your depth for top-end talent, man.
Yeah,
that is not
agree.
Young top-end talent either, outside of Luka. So
yeah, agreed. And with that, we're gonna take a short little break with a word from our sponsor.
Are you tired of consistently losing your bets on unfair gambling apps? Our sponsor, Parlay Play, has the best lines to increase your chances at winning it big. Not only does it have great lines, it's also an awesome app with a community feel.
Use code CLINIC-ALL-NBA for a deposit match up to $100 and a free $5 game on the house. They also have a new feature called Slide the Line, where users can raise or lower a line of their choosing. Pause the pod, get on your phone, and download the app now.
Download the app, indeed. We have to talk about, of course, Ja Morant.
Where is Ja?
So Adam Silver had this to say. He said, we've uncovered a fair amount of additional information. We probably could have brought it to a head now, but we've made the decision, and that would be unfair to these players and these teams to announce that decision in the middle of this series. He's talking about the NBA Finals.
Chill out.
Kind of ironic that he says that because, I mean, with all that, everyone's going to talk about it, right? Everyone's going to be distracted by this. And with that, apparently there's this report by SI or Sports Illustrated, Chris Mannix. he says that he believes that, or rather, rival executives believe that half a season or more isn't out of the question for Ja Morant's suspension.
You lose.
Half a season. So we're talking about 42 games unpaid. Now with Ja Morant, flashing a gun on Instagram now, twice? Do you guys think this is excessive or like the right amount of suspension, like around half a season?
I feel like there's still more to this story, which obviously Silver has implicated that we don't know.
Oh.
Because the actions in and of themselves are the height of stupidity, frankly. But if it was just flashing a gun on IG twice without any known acts of violence, I don't think it would warrant that big a suspension, but it feels like an accumulation of, I think it was that Foot Locker. Was it Foot Locker?
Yeah.
Where he had that
Yes.
incident? Mm-hmm. That, the basketball game at his house, these two things, and I think there's more to it. When Silver says additional information and a fair amount, I just think there's an underbelly to this that we don't know about that's going to justify a huge suspension like this. So if it was just the subject matter we were talking about, I think 20 to 25 would have been closer, but I think there's more to the story that we're gonna find out either directly or indirectly, whether it's just reporters leaking things or the NBA almost justifying whatever they hand down, whatever that ends up being. That's kind of the read I'm getting on this personally. What do you guys think?
You're saying that if Adam Silver, like, all he found out was, yes, those guns were both his, and nothing else, you think 20 to 25 games is where it should stand? I
think so. So there'd obviously be some additional information we need to know. Are they actually his legally? Are they registered to him where he's not breaking any laws?
Gotcha.
Things of that nature. I think that ties into it. If they aren't, and he didn't acquire them legally, and then there's information linking to that, I think that's where you're opening the door to say, okay, now we've got legal issues in addition to that, and just allegations that this employee of the league has been participating in stuff that can damage the league's image. I think that's where this goes, personally.
JJ, kind of thinking about like the NBA's past with like suspending players. You could bring up Gilbert Arenas if you like. Do you think this is the appropriate amount of suspension?
See, it's hard for me to gauge because actually I'm giving props to Sammy because before the pod, he mentioned how many games Gilbert Arenas was suspended for actually bringing firearms to the practice facility. And what was the total amount, Sammy?
50.
You could tell it's about 50 games.
50 games.
So Ja Morant, quote unquote, did not break any laws that we know. But there is what they call like a moral obligation to the public. I know JJ Redick has mentioned it. I know Stephen A. Smith, who was on the Rich Eisen show, also stated that when Stephen A. talked to executives and people of Ja Morant's camp, they feel that Ja Morant may not be in the league in 5 years due to all this trouble. So right. for me, if I'm Adam Silver, it's hard for me to give this guy more than 42 games because he's a superstar. But, and this is a huge but, the issue is that you're now a global brand. This is not the NBA's, like when the NBA was exploding during the 90s, here's the rumor, and I'm sure all of us know about this, but Google it, kids. Jordan, when he did quote unquote retire after his three-peat, it was rumored that what? Can you guys give the audience the heads up? What was the rumor?
Gambling suspension.
Gambling suspension.
Yep.
That he had all this trouble with gambling, so he took that break. Ja Morant has had multiple offenses within a month's or year span.
Right.
And basically he lied to Adam Silver's face.
Yeah. This is what I I wouldn't be surprised if it's half a season, and here's why. I think the first time he got suspended, it was like 8 games. I'm pretty sure that Ja Morant was like, okay, like I'm doing stuff to get better. I'm gonna go to rehab for 5 days, which is ridiculous. But also the Grizzlies probably told Adam Silver like, hey, we're keeping a close eye on him. Like he is in fact going to these counseling programs, etc., etc. And now that, so shortly after they have to deal, or Adam Silver has to deal with the same problem, I almost feel like Adam Silver is feeling sort of vindictive here, where he feels like a dummy, right? Like if I'm the boss, I feel like an idiot, right?
Yes.
For this happening again. So I don't think that it's surprising at all that it might be 42 games, even though Gilbert Arenas got suspended 50 games. Just because like this was a repeated offense that literally happened, I feel like in like a month. It was not long at all before Ja Morant messed up again. So I almost think that this thing is gonna happen, even if there isn't like more additional information. Am I out of line here in thinking this, or do you guys sort of agree with that?
I agree. So here's the thing. Adam Silver has kind of in a way said that there is more information that they know. I just don't know if we're ever going to know what it is he's talking about. Yeah, so I think you're right in that it could come down that way without us ever knowing anything else other than what we already know. I could see that happening too. Right. But I definitely see where you're coming from. I mean, it's a bad look for the commissioner of the game, and now he might respond in a big way.
Yeah, it's a bad look, and what I hate to compare it, but it's so comparable when we see musicians. You see them like going to rehab, and then the record labels still release their albums, send them to concerts when they should really be taking a pause and focus on themselves. And the tragic story of, you guys know the band Sublime, where the lead singer Brad Lee was working on this album. They knew about his drug problems, but then they kept pushing him to go on tour, make a new album, and eventually like his addictions came back. And I think Adam Silver, how is Adam Silver, I'm gonna ask you guys this, how would Adam Silver look if they only suspended Ja Morant and there was a crime or an offense that was 5 times worse than what he just did? He's just gonna look worse, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I'm gonna take us to our next topic here, though. Adam Silver had some other news to drop in the same interview. He said that the collective bargaining agreement is going to include a possible expansion to get done in like the spring of 2024. And I want you guys to kind of give us your predictions here. If we had like the next international team, which team would you think, or where would it be? I know that like Vegas has like odds for like Paris and stuff like that, but what do you guys think?
I think I'm just gonna say the easiest answer would be Vancouver.
Agreed.
Right.
Because there's no adjacent team other than Portland. Seattle's not there, so if they're gonna go international and they don't have Seattle, go to Vancouver. Which, Sammy, I'm sure you're gonna lead to what's been heavily rumored and where they have games next year, which is where?
Mexico City and Paris.
Mexico City. And what do you guys think about that?
Sammy, is that your choice?
I just think a lot of players are gonna have some issues with being based out of there, is all I'm saying. Because it's not meant with any sort of hate. It's a very different environment for a player to go to rather than Vancouver, which is a 30-minute ride away or an hour ride away from coming back into the U.S. if you want. Like,
yeah, logistically it's different.
Massive. It's logistically it's a massive really adjustment.
Yeah, and
that's the concern I have there. We will say that. So I think Vancouver logistically makes sense if you want to. Canada makes the most sense, I think, if you're going to go, because you have a lot of cities that are easier travel-wise, like They've made it work in Toronto. Vancouver worked before, but at that time the Northwest was a little saturated, which is why they ended up moving in the first place. I know it's not ever considered a basketball town, but I guarantee if you put a decent product in front of a Montreal crowd, they would actually get very into it as well. So I would imagine we go north first. If they do choose to go international, that Vancouver is the one that by far makes the most sense to me too. I'm with JJ on that.
I completely agree. I mean, like, just travel-wise, these players have to travel so much. Vancouver makes the most sense. So just put another team in Vancouver, or sorry, in Canada.
Yeah.
And so, with an expansion coming, which 2 cities do you think are going to be added? So the rumors are Las Vegas, Seattle, Mexico City, Vancouver, Kansas City, and Louisville. What do you guys think?
So I know that I'm talking to a couple of gentlemen here who are huge 49er fans and don't think too fondly of certain things in the Northwest, like Seahawks. But that being said, you have to put the Sonics back in Seattle. You do. I mean, as much as I personally, like, selfishly would want a team in Vegas, I think you have to start in Seattle. You got to put the Sonics back there.
You would go Seattle before Vegas?
I would, because they have a fan base there, and the only reason that team ever left to begin with was because of a very greedy owner and the fact that they couldn't get funding for a stadium. That's the only reason they left in the first place and went to OKC. And to give the NBA credit on that, I didn't think OKC was going to be the market that it is, but that's a great market, and it has been. But I think you got to bring back the Sonics, and from there, I sincerely hope they have a team in Vegas, because I used to go there all the time when there was no sports there, and now you've got pretty much NHL, NFL, you throw NBA in there, hell, I might just move. But I think you got to start with Seattle to begin with, personally.
Follow-up question. If Seattle does become a team, that's part of the expansion, does Kevin Durant ask for a trade there?
Can I do that?
Oh, well, which...
There has to be 3 other upcoming Hall of Famers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who... and I don't think Sean Kemp, Gary Payton, and Detlef Schrempf count. So it's got to be...
Oh, no.
Yeah. Maybe Gary... Hey, you know what? Maybe they'll bring Gary Payton from the Bay, GP2, and then KD will want to go.
And then maybe Westbrook. JJ, what do you think, man?
I mean, the obvious is like Las Vegas, Mexico City, Vancouver. But I'm going to throw a Homer recommendation based off one of my favorite cities where actually my boy Sammy's from. How about San Diego?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sterling, Sammy's favorite owner of all time, moved the Clippers out of San Diego. I think San Diego deserves a basketball team since their rips got ripped out ever since the Chargers moved.
San Diego and Seattle?
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
That would be... That. Oh, I would love that. I'd maintain my Clipper fandom because I couldn't abandon them, but I'd still get season tickets to whoever came here, the San Diego Sonics or whoever it may be. Kawhi would demand a trade immediately so that he could stay here and not have to, live in one of the other 2 or 3 places during the season.
And Harden would request a trade to Las Vegas. For our next topic here, man, Monty Williams got paid. Record-breaking 6-year, $78.5 million deal. And there's rumors being spread around by Adrian Wojnarowski saying that this is going to cause a huge bump in salary for coaches. Like Eric Spoelstra being projected to make $20 million a year for his next contract. And it's going to have impact on also Steve Kerr. Both are around $8 million annually right now. I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think of these coaches getting paid this much?
Money, please.
You guys have an opinion here?
Dang, man. This is kind of crazy that... I mean, coaches deserve to get paid. But all I could think of are now the NCAA coaches about to get paid $30 to $40 million a year. because usually
That's true.
they set them benchmarks.
Right.
Yeah. They have to
I
go out there
mean,
and recruit and
Yeah, that's just how the game is with the coaching in college. But I mean, props to the coaches. They're the players are the product on the court though. So is it reasonable that the coach makes more than 10 out of the 15 players? That's my next question.
I mean, I get where you're coming from completely. I am all for this though, just because there's no cap on coaching.
Yeah.
True.
The owners can spend whatever they want. So if you've got a SPO, here's the thing with this too for me. I don't think this will necessarily reset the whole market for every coach. I do think it'll establish a very clear elite class of coaches who could almost write their own number. And that'll be Kerr, Spo, Pop, those
Doc.
guys.
So not David Blatt. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
Oof, this took a turn.
Sammy, Doc is gonna get paid, bro. You know that.
Doc is gonna get paid.
Dude, the coaching
he's gonna get
carousel is
paid.
running out this season, and I don't see a seat for him on it. So,
Oh, that's true. But
But-
here's the question of the night here.
yeah.
So if you were offered to coach a team, for the 23-24 season, and you're gonna get paid, $15 million or something like that, which of these teams would you reject? Okay, we're going bottom feeders here. So Pistons, Spurs, Rockets, Hornets, Blazers, Magic, Wizards, Pacers, or Jazz. So consider like the roster, the location, management, etc., etc. And I'm gonna call out a JJ here.
Oh man, I know DC's a cool spot to look at. I would go Wizards, man.
You would go Wizards?
Yeah, I don't have any like temptation, desire, nor like any like inclination to like want to coach any of those players, have love for any of those players. Bradley Beal's okay, but I mean, to be honest, the organization hasn't been doing well, and I don't think that city's for me. I might also put Orlando. Those two cities, the talent's up and
rejecting
coming.
those, okay.
I'm
Okay.
rejecting those.
Okay. Savvy, which teams are you rejecting here?
I've actually never been to the city, so I don't want to judge it, but Charlotte, thank you, but no, thank you. And it has nothing to do with the city. That team is a hot mess. It's up for sale, and it seems to be the one NBA team that can't get sold right now. They're number one on my list. Number two, good management, decent roster. I'm gonna have to say no thank you to our friends in Salt Lake City. So I'll pass on the Jazz, and I will pass on the Hornets. I can justify the other teams on this list. Number three on mine was the Wizards, but I didn't want to take JJ's there. But those would be my kind rejections.
Yeah, I'm looking through rosters here where it's like Pistons, it's all right. Spurs, you got Wembanyama. The Rockets seem like it's hard to coach. I'm not sure about them.
Yeah, you could get
Hornets,
fired after a year, man.
Yeah, seriously. Hornets, I mean, I guess Jordan's out of there. So you might have a chance. I'm not sure. The Blazers, I know that, they don't treat their staff very well. Man, I think I'm with you, Sammy. I'm gonna reject the Hornets here. I'm gonna reject. I'm so sorry, Charlotte. taking heat here.
Say Portland. I know you want to say Portland.
Well, so on the flip, really quick, if you had one choice of these teams, which ones would you take for the same reasons that you would want to be? What's your number one choice?
Yeah,
all the same reasons.
number one is Spurs, dude.
Okay.
I'm taking the Spurs job, but the other one I'm rejecting though, it's Portland.
Wow.
It's the Blazers. And the reason being is because I know way too much stuff about like the management stuff going behind the scenes. and it's just like they don't have enough support.
All right.
You know what I mean? I mean, you had Dame Lillard for so long. You could have treated him nicely there, got him some nice pieces, but you wanted to run this Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum thing. I just feel like I'd just be fighting with the GM the entire time. So that's where I'm gonna go.
Okay.
That felt a little personal.
Dang.
Yeah.
That felt a little personal.
I don't even know what team I would pick. I guess the obvious one. It's an easy cop-out answer. It's the Spurs, right?
So
Yeah.
Who knows though, man? We've
But-
seen so many number one picks are turn bust. So it's even hard for me to pick. I guess I would have to pick the Pistons, but oh man. Send me to Detroit with that money. You might have to put an extra signing bonus on that.
Now you want to talk about personal? That's personal.
Sorry, guys.
But for talent, I'd put Detroit up there. I think overall, if I'm going to put in a mix of everything, I'll send me an annual pass and send me down to Orlando. I'll go there.
Yeah.
Nice collection of talent there. A toddler who likes Mickey Mouse. I can at least keep him occupied. I'll take Orlando.
There you go.
I wouldn't mind the roster on Indiana either. But, with that, that's actually all we have for tonight's pod, boys. JJ, I want to thank you for being on, man.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all.
Sammy, thanks for being on, man.
Thanks, man. And we did not mean to offend any residents of Utah, Detroit,
Yeah.
Charlotte.
No, we love all of you.
We love
guys.
all of you. We appreciate you. We will hope you will tune in again after Game 3, and we will go from there.
It's just a game. It's just a game.
Yeah, it's just a game, guys. And of course, shout out to John and shout out to our video producer, RJ. Check out our YouTube channel. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review. Like us on our Facebook group page, The Clinic All NBA Podcast, and follow us on Twitter at Clinic All NBA. I'm Rosa Panta. This is The Clinic All NBA Podcast. Come find us wherever you get your podcasts.
Kiki.